How much extra cocaine do you have at your disposal when it starts going on car
Dude,
tops?
this is a guy who I'm not gonna say, but he was an athlete, and he got. I think he might actually have had. He went to rehab. I could be wrong, so I don't really care. But he actually.
It's not a surprising
He
conclusion
sober.
to this story.
He had to He had
Look.
to actually go completely sober to get back to normal.
We always talked about that fact that the skaters were always, at least in my career, were always bigger rock stars than the rock stars.
Right.
Always.
Yeah, we just didn't have enough money. But if we had the money rock stars had, then we would have died way quicker because we were not like.
There was no
sharing it.
question. I mean, there was no question. Every time any of the skaters showed up at our shows, our security guards were rolling their eyes, going like, "Fuck, we got to deal with these guys now." Like,
I remember that.
yeah, every time.
I remember thinking that. I remember just because we got free booze is not that common when you're a pro skateboarder, and we're just like, DC flew us out to see Linkin Park, and you guys want to go backstage, hang out? We're like, yeah, you want a drink? Yeah. And then everybody's drunk and super excited to be out. And then I remember looking at security a few times because they're always going to hit the big guy. And in skateboarding, it was easy to be the big guy because everyone's so tiny. But I'm like, man, I'm going to get punched in the fucking head now. And I can already tell. And I'm drunk, but I can still tell. Because they're like, these dudes are pushing and tables. And Fred Durst was there. Fucking Fred Durst, man. I'm like, everybody's talking shit. Like, everyone was getting rowdy. And it's them, it's their...
Dude, but to your credit, you were
the
never... I don't remember really you being the guy that people were worried about.
No.
You weren't really the guy.
No, but in my...
You were having fun.
Yeah.
But you weren't the guy that was a dick.
Yeah, but in my experience, if I'm in the skateboard world, then we're all together in this. I'm not going to let somebody get battered. And in my experience, whenever a fight breaks out, security punch me in the face. Doesn't matter if I'm the biggest voice there. It's like... Everyone, what's going on? And then there's just some big dude running at me. And I'm like, fuck, man. I really didn't even do anything. I'm going to get this guy out of the way first.
But you were with enough big mouths that they would have to hit somebody.
Yeah. Usually. Yeah. Especially drinking.
It's weird to think that you were not the big mouth then.
Well, I've been saving it, haven't I? I think I had the big mouth, but nobody was willing to listen to me.
I think shockingly I would beg to differ. I would say that there were people that were louder. That were definitely like, fuck, that guy's like really asking for it, And not if it's your friend, it's not in a bad way. You're like, that guy's hilarious. But if somebody, the security guard or the guy in the other band who didn't invite you guys.
That's what I saw.
Yeah.
I didn't really want to touch on it, but I remember us being really obnoxious, and then your singer coming out, and he looked like he was definitely sober and trying to tune his shit up. Like he was about to go on stage, and he wasn't in any kind of, well, it's all over, I don't have a fucking job mode, and we were in the middle of screaming something, and then he comes walking out. I'm like, fuck, man, this is. I feel a little guilty right now because none of us are going on stage, and we're kind of. It's like if I'm about to do radio and there's just people pouring beers over me in the green room before I come on the radio. I'm like, look, I get it, but really? Like I saw that on his face. I felt so bad, but not that bad because I was drunk.
That happens to you guys. It's a party for everybody else, but it's your job. I think bands put up with
Well, and besides, over the course of however many years, like our thing has been, it's gotten even more chilled out because of families and people getting older and having families and stuff. And backstage for us, it's like, more often than not, you're going to find, like, for example, somebody's kids there. So our dressing room, we don't have shit going on in our dressing room because, on average, like, there are 2 or 3 people in the dressing room bringing the average age down by 3 decades or something. You know what I mean? There's a 5-year-old in the dressing room. Nobody's acting crazy because they have responsibility to that kid.
It makes sense to me. I feel like Linkin Park it's not like a flash in the pan band, and you're like, this is a permanent thing, and if you're smart and you play the game right, and I feel like I've always thought you guys have had a brain as well as a talent, so you're like, okay, it is very exciting to sell these many albums and to be that successful, but for me, if I was the bass player in Linkin Park when we fucking went platinum, I might have gone off the rails a little bit, because I'm like, I'm pretty much the king of the world right now, I pretty much do whatever the fuck I want, but you guys were like, no, we've got the next album, and I have other jobs. That was the other thing. You were like, no, I'm a designer, and I'm designing this. And look at this, I got a fucking painting thing. And I'm like, why are you painting shit? Like, shouldn't you just be doing rails of of a titty right now? You're in Linkin Park, like you're the guy.
Was there any?
You don't even have to sing. You fucking rap. You don't have to check your voice or anything.
That's true.
Was there any excess? Like, I don't think you guys were smoking crack or anything, but did you buy a cape?
No,
did you buy a cape?
To your point, we were stupid. We never took advantage of it.
You did,
right? I mean, a little bit. I feel like certain guys, like I think it's more well known that Chester had a little bit more of a not a dark side to it, but he did to get to a point where he said, "Look, I got to take it easy. This is kind of fucked up." And a few albums in, he cleaned it up a bit, but it was never to the extent that like you imagine. You know what I mean? Like when you imagine people going off the tracks, it's like our situation was never anything like that.
Look, I really think that was part of the reason you're so successful, because you're like a new breed in a way. Nobody really was rock and roll and thinking. You know, you had a similar thing to like an athlete. You were like, we got plans and this, and you could sit down and have a meeting about shoes, and he would have a bunch of shit to say that sounded like he knew what he was talking about. He's a fucking musician. The fuck I mean, I've been scared my whole life thinking about what shoe I would design. And this guy's like, well, this would be this and this and this, and I'm like, yeah, those are all really good ideas. Once again, another job you could have if you wanted it. You had a good shoe, man. Didn't you like do an actual painting in the sole of the shoe?
Oh, that one was cool. I did a couple. The one.
And you had the clear gel.
Yeah, they had the clear.
It was
clear
sick.
soles.
I was like legitimately backing that, even if it didn't have your stupid name on it. That was a good shoe that I would have liked to have ripped off.
Oh, that's funny.
Put my name on it.
So what's new here? You
We're
talking about the NWA movie,
Yes.
which I just heard about.
Right. I'll show you let me get the cast photo. It's pretty crazy. They found these actors, and one of them I think has never even been in a movie before. The other two guys have had smaller roles. It's cool to see them being so incredibly hands-on, where literally each guy in it.
Well, yeah, they want you to think that they're hands-on.
Well, at least Dre showed up for the photo.
That's
the
true.
guy who looks like Dre.
Yeah, that's
I
true.
haven't seen a picture of more than one guy from NWA with another guy from NWA in some time.
I love the actor they found for Ice Cube. That guy looks
right. Perfect.
Awesome.
I want to know how long Dre talked to Cube that day.
Right.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I mean, was there an actual they shook hands and whatever, but did they actually go, "Yo, remember that one?" Like, no.
Dude, do you want to hear somebody in my Twitter feed? One of my friends said, I know who it was, my friend Scott, said the best thing about Dre and that whole Beats getting the thing with Apple and making all that money, like even, it went from like, okay, that's an obscene amount of money with Beats to like with the Apple thing, it's like, okay, now you're the Steve Jobs of hip hop. Like, yeah. Look what you just did. And my friend Scott goes, this is his opportunity. He's held on to Detox, that album. There's hundreds of songs, right? There's so much music. He said, oh, Detox is on the way, and then it never came out. And I know for a fact there are hundreds of songs. I know people that have worked on them. And this is his moment. Like when Bill Gates at one point said, I am no longer making money. I'm not in the business of making money. I'm in the business of philanthropy. Like, I've made enough money, I got to do what's right for people, my family, to set an example for people. If you make X amount of money, your job should be to give it away and help society, right? That's his thing. This is Dre's opportunity to do that, but not in like a charitable way necessarily, but like a musical charity. He's got all this music, he needs to fucking give away Detox songs every Friday from now until the end of time, because he owes that to us.
You're a genius, and he's an asshole, and that's why that won't ever happen.
Give us Detox. Like, everybody wants to hear Detox. He's got all these songs. Just one a week. That's all. I mean, one a month. Fuck it. But one a week would be incredible.
It's gonna, like, how would that hurt Dre, honestly, if they weren't, because they were a little old school?
If they weren't very good.
It would hurt anything.
I have a hard time believing they weren't. I mean, the people I know, like, the guy who said it, his name is Scott. He did music supervision for Entourage. And you know what? Entourage always had amazing music. I know Scott's got amazing taste. He was the one who said this. Like, I give him credit. But the people that I know who were involved with it, from the likes of, back in the day with Snoop and Game and all that shit when they were working heavily together, to like the newer artists like Bishop Lamont and some of the new guys, like, it's fucking crazy the amount of talent that have been cross paths on that record and on the, quote unquote record. I mean, at this point it's a discography.
Right, it's the hip-hop Chinese democracy, and then it becomes this thing where almost no album could possibly live up to the album that this guy's been making for the last 20 years. And the classic one is the Pet Sounds from the Beach Boys.
Yeah.
He seems like a very smart man. So I'm sure he's got his reasons.
Yeah, he'll probably start a Dre channel and play nothing but exclusive new music all the time, and then we'll all be paying for it and hating life because we didn't come up with the idea. You
did make me think that now that he has that much money, he should open up schools and stuff.
That would be nice, right?
At least that. Don't give us the album if you don't really like it that much, okay? But why? Give back to his community. Get schools, get people that are less fortunate a better chance at making something in their lives. Yeah. If you got that much money.
Yeah, I don't know pointless? I don't know that.
You know what he should do?
Maybe he does.
Breast cancer. Black chicks get breast cancer and they don't get fixed. 70% chance of dying more than a white girl that gets breast cancer in this country. That's what he should do.
Amazing. I didn't know that. Is that real?
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy.
I know. Because they don't check it, or I don't know what it was, but I heard a speech of that. I went to a breast cancer foundation thing and listened to the dude. The people that somebody just super, and he was loaded. He was a billionaire, and he was I just gave $200,000 to this and $200,000 to that to get some more research. And I'm like, if you had that money, how could you not do that?
Yeah.
How could you not organize it?
I bet he will, though. As far as Dre and all, I bet there has to be.
I think black people have been fucked over, man. Here's your guy.
There was actually an amazing. There's a really interesting article. What's that called? The Atlantic.com. There's this amazing article. It's practically a book.
That's probably why I haven't read it much.
Yeah, it was too long. I skimmed it, to be honest. I couldn't read the whole thing. It was really long. And it was about reparations. It was for African Americans, and it's this basically this argument for reparations. And I've never heard, at least I've never read something so passionate and detailed and stuff. And this was just a couple weeks ago. I'm actually going to be on. Strangely, I'm going to be on Bill Maher tonight, and the reason I read it was because the guy that wrote it is going to be on the show too. So I was like, "Oh, who am I on the show with?" And this is one of the guys. I'm going to see that guy tonight. I never met him.
So the concept of reparations is, this is going back to...
You get a mule and acres, right?
Yeah, Abraham Lincoln. Just basically, we can't just set you free. We got to set you up a little bit and, payback in the least bad sense of payback. The Atlantic is kind of famous. It's a magazine that's been around since the 1850s, I think. And I think they've almost gone out of business a few times. And I think they stumbled on this model of let's get very intelligent people to argue insane things, but they're so smart they can almost convince you that they're right.
This doesn't seem crazy. This doesn't even seem insane, though.
Well, it'd be a tough sell politically. Reparations.
I like that you're the introduce Ellis to America guy right now.
Everybody's introducing me to America every day. What are you talking about?
How long have you fucking been? You've been around forever.
I bet, but I didn't have my eyes open. I was skateboarding.
But people act like you don't. People act like you just got off the boat.
I really don't know stuff. Crazy stuff that most people should know.
What's the weirdest thing that you didn't know that somebody had to tell you, no, this is actually how this works here?
Man, that happens once a week on here. But what do I know? I didn't know that Liberace was called Liberace. I thought he was Liberace until about 2 years ago.
That's great.
There you go. What's one of those other ones that I did?
Not American history, but I've always been partial to you mishearing the cliche about a bull in a china shop. You thought it was a bowl in a china shop and couldn't understand why it would be so unusual for there to be a bowl in a china shop.
Yeah, it seems like that's where you would find it.
It's a perfect place.
Yeah, and I always
makes a lot of sense to me.
Always tried to nip it in the butt, and it never worked out.
I had a friend who was from Israel, and he hadn't tasted ranch. I think it was ranch dressing. It was a long time before he actually really found out about ranch. I think it was ranch. And he was out with a whole bunch of friends and ate it and was flipping the fuck out, running around the restaurant this is incredible, blah, blah. And they're like, you've been here for 10 years. How do you not know what ranch dressing is?
You know what? I remember because ranch dressing did not exist in Australia when I lived there. I think it's there now, but not. I came to America there. I went to Denny's. And the guy and my friend was like, just put ranch on. I'm like, okay. And I remember going, oh my god, this is so good. How could I not have this my whole life? So I get what the guy's saying, but 10 years in the country and you didn't get some ranch? That's weird.
Ranch has a very special foothold in Southern California. Are you from here, Mike?
Yeah.
Because I was flabbergasted. I didn't believe until I saw with my own eyes that there are pizza places that will sell you ranch.
Yeah, oh yeah, tons of people.
As like a New York, New Jersey guy, it's very, very insulting when that just tells me I've ordered the wrong pizza. When I get the pizza and they go, and how many sides of ranch do you need with that?
Mike Shinoda completely disagrees.
I do disagree. That's part. I mean, it's like well, I don't know. There's some things that here in LA, that's just how you do it.
I remember.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Actually, my wife, who is Japanese, that was her joke about. She said, "How do you get a white girl to suck your dick? Put ranch on it."
Wow. Jesus Christ, your wife just got so high in my mind right now. That's just like couch talk, motherfucker. You guys are brutal. Hey, husband, how do you get a white girl to suck your dick? I don't know. How do I do that? Ranch on it, motherfucker. Am I right? Holy shit, man. It's such a sweet one-liner. I'm going to remember that just talking to people I don't know.
That's a good icebreaker, I find.
What's up, guy?
What's up? You're a white chick. Want to hear a joke?
Oh, shit. Oh, so, what's your... Where's the album? I thought I saw it.
Oh, yeah, it's out. It just came out. We brought a copy. Wait.
Hey, Will was waving it around.
Yeah. Hey. It's called The Hunting Party.
Cool name.
Hunting Party. Actually...
Fuck, did you do this painting?
I wish I had done that. That's actually a fella named James Jean. He did the sketches for it, and then we took that and basically modeled it in 3D. It was like you would do for like they do for like movies like Godzilla and shit. So those are all 3D images based on his sketches. But I think this is a great place to talk about like the what the record's about, because I mean if anybody listening, you guys listen to rock music. Like right now, rock music has just become so soft.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And when the places where our music usually lives, alternative radio and all that, those formats have gotten so poppy, and at a certain point I was making demos for the album and just thinking about that, and I thought, man, it's already gotten to a point that is like past where I'm comfortable going. So we just went against it.
The music you make is...
I was saying, here's the thing. When we make a record, I make it because it's what I want to make.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily go into it with like this strategic shit where I'm like, okay, this is going to sell.
Okay.
And going into this album, I thought I was making some stuff that was kind of indie alternative, like a more electro-based and all that. And I thought, okay, this will fit in, where we want to like put out our stuff. I believe in this stuff. It sounds good. But then I listened to it one day and I went, I feel like I want something that this isn't doing. And I feel like rock music out there is there's something missing. Like, what's missing? And I realized it was this heavier sound, more aggressive sound, more raw sound. And so I just kind of went with it and started making really heavy songs.
Yeah.
And I called up management and like talked to the guys who are, know a lot about radio and all the numbers and shit. I don't get way into all that. And I called them and I said, let me get this straight, just so I'm educated. If we make a record that sounds like, let's say, Refused, Shape of Punk to Come, or like Helmet, or At the Drive-In, or I named off a bunch of rock acts and this sound, keeping in mind, like I want to make a modern record, I don't want to make a throwback record,
right.
But it's heavier.
Yeah.
And I said, what's going to happen? Like, what are our opportunities and what do we lose? What do we give up? Who will not play us? Huh. And so you're going to have a hard time getting it on the radio at all.
Isn't that crazy to hear that, Michael? Like to know that if you're going to like lay down some heavy licks, that radio's going to shut you down.
It's fucked, right?
Really fucked.
So and then by the way, and that's not on the people who are behind the radio stations, except that you wish they had like the balls to do something about it, but they go by their research. So their research says, no, our fans want to hear more Mumford & Sons. They want to hear more Avicii. They want to hear more Lord. So we're going with that. Even though it's pop music, even though that belongs on the pop station, that's what we're playing too. And we're not going to stick up for Linkin Park. We're not going to stick up for Queens of the Stone Age. We're going to go in the other direction. And we decided, you know what? We can't control that. We can't control any of it. And we want to make this kind of music. So in spite of the fact that it might be a harder sell, we're just going to go for it, and we'll find different ways to reach people. Like, the fans are out there. We just can't go through the channels on this side. We have to go through different ones, and maybe we have to make up our own ways to get to people.
Well, the last album, you know me, I'm not following everybody's career, but the last album to me was not one that I would want to listen to because it sounded like a digital, like
more electronic,
more than other stuff. So
yeah.
I'm like, hey, good for you. And I remember thinking that's a ballsy move because you don't really sound like Linkin Park anymore. You're trying to be like a whole nother version of yourselves. Mm-hmm. And I respect that. I mean, people hate Metallica's Load or Reload. I'm like, that you're right. That completely failed. But have some fucking balls and give it a go. They did. It did not work out, but I still commend them for it. Yours worked out, but
our thing has always been this. Like, we get into, ever since the second album, if we knew that if we made another album that sounded like the first two, that we'd be stuck doing that. Right? Okay. So we needed to try out all these. And besides, we're capable, as 6 guys, we're capable of doing so many different types of music that it's almost like we realize that as an asset as opposed to like a distraction. It's an asset that we can do all these different things. So we go out into all these different genres and whatever. We did a song with Steve Aoki. We did some songs that, like, one of the biggest singles off our last album was actually essentially a folk song that we turned into an electro song and gave it some energy and whatever. And we released it with, the video game Medal of Honor, and had the military community got behind it. And all of those things put together, it's like, that's stuff that nobody else, the math just doesn't add up for anybody else. We just happen to have those as skills or talents or whatever it is. And then we realized the same thing about this. It was like, well, this is something we are kind of uniquely equipped to do right in this moment that other people either can't do or have decided not to do. And so we're going to go and make a heavy record. Probably the heaviest record we ever made.
Well, then I haven't even heard it. I'm already way into it. Because you got an amazing guitarist. That dude's fucking gnarly. And your singer is ridiculous.
Well, people don't even know. Wait till you hear our guitarist Brad on this album. You have no idea. If you haven't heard this, you've never even heard.
Because that was the first thing when I saw you guys live. That was the first person I became a fan of. I don't know. I'm still haven't met him to this day. He has fucking headphones on, Michael.
He does.
Does he still do that?
Nobody knows what he's listening to.
Exactly. I'm like, what is going on in his head?
He's listening to silence. Silence. He's like blocked out all of our noise.
Is he really? Is that what he's doing?
No, he's just very protective of his ears, and it is to deaden the noise. A lot of us, like for me in particular, lower volume on stage helps me hear the pitch better. Okay. So it's just like an execution thing. It's like some people wear this if you're playing a sport. Some people wear this brace on an arm or a leg or whatever. Everybody just has a thing that makes them more comfortable.
That's funny because I was under the assumption that there was something else going on in his head that was making him like he had to have that to play. Yeah, because there's so many things going on in Linkin Park. I'm like, maybe he's doing the scratchy thing with his guitar and he can hear it in his ears. I don't fucking know what's going on here. That dude seems like a space cadet. But I saw, what was the fucking song? He did a Led Zeppelin cover at the Hard Rock.
This is Chester you're talking
about.
Oh,
and
Chester,
I wasn't. Yeah. I just went there accidentally, and it was who's the older rock stars like
Camp Freddy.
Yeah, the Camp Freddy thing. Yes. So I don't really. Yeah. I know a little. I know that Dave Navarro and all these other knobs they all play together. Great, good for them. That guy comes on, and does that song. Yeah. And I'm like, you have got to be fucking joking. I have never heard anybody do Led Zeppelin.
Let me tell you something. That's not even like that's like the tip of the iceberg. Like Chester, I swear to God, the guy can sing the Beatles. He can sing AC/DC, Led Zeppelin. He can sing so many styles, and that's what I was saying about like authentically doing all these different styles that the band does. Like Chester alone is part of the key to that because he can do that. I can write in all those styles, and that's when we get into all these different genres. That's why it's why it's exciting. It's because like okay, we've never made a song like this before. Let's do that.
So you write most of the lyrics?
Now lyrics we split them up. Sometimes I've on some songs I've written the whole thing
and the song, right? The melody.
Sometimes, yeah.
Play guitar a lot more now, huh?
More than I used to in the early days. But on this album, I left a lot of it to Brad because I felt like he needed to lead more on this one.
Because it's really heavy.
Because it's more technical, faster.
Right.
Yeah,
is it really? Man, now I'm getting really excited to hear it. Is it out today?
Can we play something today?
Yeah, I heard it all over Sirius. I'm not trying to just pat ourselves in the back. It was all over SiriusXM today.
Sirius has been a huge supporter of the album.
I heard your new single, and I said, wow, Mike sounds a lot more like a black dude than usual.
That's because it wasn't me.
Right.
It was Rakim.
Yeah.
Rakim is on the single "Guilty All the Same."
Well, there you go. That answers that question.
And the
how's your
guitarist-
shoulder? Is it okay? Still come back from that injury?
I'm glad we got there.
Yeah.
I was hoping we'd get that over. I was hoping we'd get that over with.
I'll never let that go. If anybody comes up to me and says, "Are you friends with Mike Shinoda?" I'm like, "Yeah, crazy, right? Yeah." You know, one time.
Did he tell you about his rotator cuff?
Tendonitis in the shoulder.
Dude, he told it to me and Danny Way, like, at a table where
I knew who I was talking. You don't even think for a second. I didn't know how pussy that was.
No, I think I gained respect for you because I was like, "Are you really telling us this?"
Yes.
Yeah, man, because I've had shoulder surgery just recently, as a matter of fact. From making my hand go like that to the two. I mean, I'm not as injured as he is, but Danny's the most injured person in skateboarding, and I'm the most clumsy guy in pro skateboarding. So we're like 100 broken bones together, and he's like, "Yeah, shoulder, man, doing that," and I'm like, Are you fucking with me, or are you trying to fuck with yourself? I'm very confused. I'll never forget. That was brilliant.
But now that you know me, it's like, I don't have any. I'm not a fucking tough guy. There's no way around it. So like for the stuff that we do on stage, like you said, it's like kind of specific. It's like it's there's a little bit of like keep in shape and like make sure you can get through the show and not look like you're running out of breath. But apart from that, like right now, for example, we're running with this album. There's all kinds of promos with UFC. Dana White fell in love with it.
Yeah, I've been giving away tickets and a code to get your album on the show.
So Dana fell in love with it. By the way, and like Dan from Tap Out is like really good friends with our bass player Dave. Like I think that's how Dave and Dana White met a while ago. But the point is, all this, like we're doing a lot of promos and stuff with UFC, and I'm meeting some of these guys for the first time, and they're like 5'0", these tiny little things, and these guys are just badasses.
Yeah,
like,
I know, nugget muscles.
Fucking murderers.
I know. No, we've had them in here lately. Little guys that could kill any giant
Absolutely.
man.
Yeah, and so I know very, very well like how far off of that mark I am.
Yeah, but I think at the time I had less respect for a musician. I think that if you're on the road constantly and you perform every night and you do that one thing with that one arm, then it can go out. I don't think you have to be. You're a fit guy.
And the thing
I think
about
if you really did that every day, you could fuck it up.
Dude, all that is like if you're just you're born with a fucking gimp arm or something. Like I don't have that, but it's almost like that. It's like I'm born with this weird shoulder.
It hasn't happened again, has it?
No, it's an ongoing thing. Like I always have to do it. I always have to take care of it. I've never had a surgery. You said I had surgery. I never had surgery or anything like that. But yeah,
you should wear a sling when it's sore.
It's just fucking sore. I mean, I just deal with it.
Do you have a painkiller addiction or anything from it?
That'd be amazing.
That's your excuse is ready to go,
like,
Mike.
Yeah.
I'll back you.